As you can see, this podcast is about unlightenment. Unlightenment is the opposite of enlightenment. Now, let me talk about enlightenment for a few minutes. As you probably know, enlightenment is big business these days. And there are various kind of flavors that come off of this. Mindfulness is one of the very, very fashionable things at the moment. I mean, as it's usually conveyed to people, it's mainly bullshit. Mindfulness is not about walking slowly or anything like that. Mindfulness is about seeing your inner state, but that's another story. Anyway, enlightenment. Just like people couldn't sell you anything unless they were promising that by buying the thing they're selling, you would become happier. So, some expensive kind of watch, maybe some particular kind of shoes, or some glorious jewelry, or maybe some particular kind of shades. Maybe they have to have a particular logo on them, and only if you have that particular logo will you become happy. Obviously this is the salesman's main trick, or the marketing person's main trick, that if you do whatever they want you to do, in other words, spend your hard-earned money on some crap you don't really need, you're not going to be happy, and all those other people who have bought it are happy. So, fuck, what are you doing? You've got to go out and buy this shit that they're selling. Well, in exactly the same way, the people who sell enlightenment are there to try and convey to you that if you do whatever it is they're trying to sell, then you'll achieve some more pleasurable state. Enlightenment, samadhi, nirvana, something like that. And of course, these people who are selling this stuff have to project this image of calmness, happiness, serenity, all those kind of things. You're not going to buy it if they seem like agitated idiots, are you? Which is, in truth what they might be, but they have to project themselves as being all the things that you want to be, because you don't have any kind of peace within you. You don't feel happy, maybe. And you certainly won't after seeing the sales and marketing from the Enlightenment crew, because they'll make you feel dissatisfied with however you are. So enlightenment is no different from any other, or the way enlightenment is sold is no different from any other object or thing that is sold. Only if you buy into this, that, or the other, can you become happy and peaceful. Hubert Benoit, if you haven't read Hubert Benoit, I suggest that you do, although he is quite difficult reading. His book on Zen, in that book he says that all of these things, enlightenment, moksha, whatever, all the spiritual claptrap, is nothing more than animal training. So, if you want to become happier or more peaceful, then you have to do this thing, a particular meditation, some particular physical exercises, maybe some kind of devotional stuff. Anything like that, these people will be selling to try and convince you that you can reach some kind of nirvana through their practice. You wouldn't do it otherwise. And in fact, and I've spoken about this before, virtually all so-called spiritual stuff is nothing but glorified pleasure-seeking. I'm miserable and whatever in my current state, but if I do all this stuff, I'll become happier. So it's pleasure-seeking. You wouldn't do any of this stuff if it didn't promise at least jam tomorrow. Of course, you can't have your jam today because you've got to practice this stuff for 20 years or whatever. So the Enlightenment Brigade are always selling jam tomorrow, and if you don't realize jam within 3 months, they'll tell you that you need the super deluxe version, which is going to cost you another $2,000. So this is the way that industry works. It quite deliberately makes you dissatisfied with your current life. Everyday life is not enough. It fires your imagination with some kind of notion of some preferred future state. And very often it's selling a kind of nice, neat life. If you maybe the 12 rules for life or some bullshit like that, as though you can contain life within 12 rules. Ridiculous. So that's enough about enlightenment. Let's talk about unlightenment, which is obviously the opposite of enlightenment. So the first thing to do is to acknowledge enlightenment for what it is. It's imagination. You wouldn't go chasing this stuff unless you built some picture up in your mind of where you're going to go with your efforts to become enlightened or liberated or whatever. And don't underestimate the power of imagination. All of us spend most of our life in imagination. Anyway, here's the reality of your life. Your life will be a mess. Just get used to it. Everybody's life's a mess. This is the nature of life. And as the Zen, little Zen saying goes, every decision you make will be a mistake. Get used to it. Because there is no nice, neat, orderly life. People try to do it through, particularly the older philosophers, the rationalists, had some scheme for living some nice, neat, orderly life. If you try and live like that, you'll go insane. Or you become extremely neurotic. Because your head cannot dictate to your desires and emotions how they should be. At any particular moment in the day, you will be wanting ice cream, but your head will be saying, well, you shouldn't eat ice cream. Or your emotions will be sad, and your head will be saying, well, following my enlightenment path, I shouldn't be sad right now, so I'm going to pretend to be happy. So don't underestimate the power of imagination, and as I've said, this is the main tool used by the purveyors of enlightenment and so on. Some imagined future state where we're going to be happy. There's one simple question: what is wrong with here and now? Forget about mindfulness, forget about the power of now. Just, literally, here I am. My life's fucked up. And that's the way it will stay. It will all stay fucked up. But here's a little secret. The most beautiful thing about your life is that it's fucked up. And why is it beautiful? Because it goes against all the silly ideas that you pushed into your head about how your life should be. Your life will go whichever way it goes. You'll get some fucking disease, or you'll have some wonderful relationship that turns sour, or your career will go down the pan, or maybe it will, shoot off into the sky. You don't know. Because you're not in control of the rest of the world. So you don't know how the rest of the world is going to treat you. But whatever happens, it's fine. And it's always going to be fucked up. There's no need to try and bracket your life by some 12 rules or something. I saw it wasn't an interview. It was some kind of meeting between Zizek, is that how you pronounce him, the philosopher? Zizek and Jordan Peterson. I actually like some of Peterson's stuff, but the bottom line with Peterson is that at the end of the day, he's just an encyclopedia for psychology research. And he doesn't really seem to go much deeper than that. And he's always saying, experience shows, multiple research projects have shown, and so on. Well, multiple research projects, 1,000 years ago, showed that the sun revolved around the Earth. And multiple research projects 1,000 years ago showed that if you were ill, it was because you were possessed by demons. So I don't really buy the multiple research project shows. And besides, these people use statistics. I know I'm digressing a bit here, but these people use statistics, and if you've studied statistics, you'll know that it's almost impossible to reach sensible conclusions using statistics. There are what are called lurking variables, otherwise things that are affecting things that you don't know about. There are biases, there's all kinds of stuff. Anyway, this is the kind of stuff that Peterson comes out with. And one of his main points was that we should strive for happiness. And I thought, oh, what a stupid thing to say. And happily, Zizek shot him down in flames and said, well, happiness is the most stupid thing that you can go searching for. Searching for happiness will make you very unhappy. Anyway, a digression. But the point I'm getting to is that there are no nice, neat straitjackets that you can put your life inside, that you can constrain your life with. They don't work. They will actually, and you will actually end up wearing a real straitjacket if you try and do that kind of thing. Because life is without boundaries. The problem is that the thing that we have on the top of our shoulders, our head, inside that head is a brain that has gone a bit crazy. It's kind of overreached itself. It thinks that its role is to do more than help you tie your shoelaces or work out your mortgage payments or all that kind of stuff that the head brain's very good for. But it also thinks it knows how you should live your life. Well, your desires and your emotions tell you how to live your life. Your head brain really doesn't have much to do with it in reality, although we try to make the head brain be the thing that guides us on how we should live our life. So instead of sickly sweet ideas about perfection, sitting in the full lotus, sat there in perfect peace and harmony, is bullshit. It's not going to happen. The way to live a life, in my opinion, is that you just live it as it occurs. And above everything else, just acknowledge that it will always be a screw-up. Your life is always going to be some unholy mess. But that unholy mess is the most beautiful thing about your life, and you should not try to discard it.